Hey guys, I know it's been a while since I've released or made a video clip. I've been busy with work and I've been busy with several different projects. My biggest problem is when I start with a project, I've got good intentions to make the project, record it, but then I start it and I get carried away and I finish it before I can actually start recording and editing. It is actually quite a lot of work recording and editing, and sometimes I just want to get a project done, but then before you know it, 3 months have gone by and you haven't done or recorded anything. That's enough of me gas bagging. Let's get into the locomotive in front of us. Now what we're looking at here is a Westrail locomotive, AB class. Now these things were narrow gauge and they were running on EMD type prime movers. I think it was 8 cylinders or 12 cylinders, 645s. The driveline in front of us here is a Frateschi mech. Now I'm not a big fan of the Frateschi mechs because I find that the motors are a bit lightweight and they're plastic. The frame, the chassis itself is plastic, so they're a bit flexible. But they're a good base to start from, and the bogies or whatever is actually quite accurate for this specific model type. So I've done quite a few of these now for members in the club because no one else makes these things. It's really hard to find someone who makes them, and if you do find someone, they're charging like $900 or something ridiculous. So I made a few for the members in the club. They're by no means perfect. They do have their flaws, but if you're willing to knuckle down, you can actually come up with a really good model. All mine that I've done for myself, I've done in brass and I've done metal handrails. All these handrails here is actually a one-part cast. So this is a resin 3D printed model. It takes a lot of Dremel work, a lot of dust, it's messy, and it's not a neat job. It's not something that I enjoy doing, to be honest with you. I didn't make a video of how I built them, but I do have one or two that's unassembled, and I can sort of show you what I've been busy with and how I got to the final stage, which is the product in front of us. So this is the resin model after it's been cleaned off from the sprues and all the flashings been cleaned off. This model is then obviously nowhere near ready for anything. The next thing that I have to do is take a Dremel and cut all that off. And then you are sitting with something, let me just grab another one here off the shelf. Then you're sitting with something that looks similar to that. Right, now this model's been primed, the handrails have been cleaned, and what I normally do is I put a bit of glue on the handrail stanchions, otherwise these things are super flimsy. But as you can see, these models from Imaterialise are really, really nice models. And depending on how much time and work and effort you put into them, these can be what you make them to be. This is really for the more advanced modelers, and even then I think you need to know what you're getting yourself into. The next step after that is doing a drive line. Right, so here's another shell that's been primed and painted. I've actually gone and I've cut these handrails off because I want to put metal handrails on these. The handrails are 3D printed on them, but they're really flimsy. They don't really do it for me. So this is just a brass chassis that I've been working on, getting everything right, getting everything fitting. Again, not a big fan of these motors, but I am limited because nothing else fits in these narrow shells. Now the guys in Belgium from Imaterialise, they've actually just told me that they can make these a bit wider. The chassis is just a brass, 3 pieces of brass, flat plate or flat bar, sorry, that I've cut with a Dremel. Not too neat, but it does what it's supposed to do. The side channels is precision scale brass, which is not, it's a one-piece cast, it's not a bent piece. So they're nice and strong, little angle iron pieces on the side, and this whole thing just slots in. You get the idea. The decals are made by a lady in Sydney. The model itself, the body is what I want to show you guys. So this is made by a company in Belgium called Imaterialise. I think if a figure was standing there, that's probably head height. So I think they might have had a bit of an issue with this specific print. I did contact them and they said that they will fix it on their next prints, which I'm sure they would have done. the skirting here. Now normally this locomotive will have a thin skirting, but I had to put this blue plastic skirting in to hide the untidiness, because it's very uneven when you Dremel it. Alright, so this is one that I've done for someone else. This is one that I've done for myself, and this one's got a brass chassis, and it's got metal handrails. And I've fixed the back handrail. I just dropped it down a little bit. I still need to finish the side handrails just at the back. So this is an A class, so this one I've Dremeled out the side side frames and the fuel tanks and etc, etc. So that's what it looks like when it's all cleaned up. These things is so brittle though, if you drop them, they shatter into a million bits and pieces. So this is what I do when I do my brass chassis. This is the start of a brass chassis. This is the type of resin. So it's so smooth, there's no lines on it. I was quite surprised that a 3D print can be this good. There's no lines on it or anything like that. It looks horrific when the model gets here, because it's just one block of resin and you have to break these things off. And my advice to anyone doing this, make sure you've got hot water there. Leave the model in hot water for about an hour. It won't melt, it just becomes nice and soft, and you can pull the rest of the flashing off without damaging the model. If you don't do that, you are going to break it into bits and pieces, the model itself, I promise you. Alright, let's move over to the programming track and I'll show you what they sound like. Okay, I got them on my programming track, and like I've mentioned, I've got ESU loksound decoders in them. I'll start off with the non-weathered one. So 8 starts up the loksounds. Accelerate. So that's just both of them running at the moment. Let me just switch that off for a second. The nice thing about loksound, I think that was a saving grace that I used loksound for these. This resin is so thin, you get so much light bleed through the body. The whole nose just starts glowing orange. Where it doesn't matter what resistors you put in, you're still going to have that light pollution. With loksound, you can actually drop down the voltage on the actual LED or on the actual light, the globe, the bulb. It was a fun project. I'll probably do a few videos at some point of them on the tracks. I don't have many left. I've got two for my, I've got this one for myself, and then this one is on its way to its new owner. I've got a few D classes up my sleeve that I'm working on as well, but I'm not going to be doing these anymore. I don't like working with the resin, that fine powder. It just goes and it lies in your chest and in your lungs. I really don't like that. So I am probably not going to do any more of these. I just thought I'd show you. This is not a how-to video, unfortunately. This is not my normal running or how-tos. This is more just a little show and tell, just to show you guys I'm still alive and still kicking. I hope you're all safe, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.